Boston Red Sox played their home opener today against the Milwaukee Brewers, and despite the pomp and ceremony of unveiling the World Series championship banner, a sub-story continued to play out. Jerry Remy appeared in the NESN booth as promised, and in the face of an increasingly hostile debate about his personal life. NESN color commentator Jerry Remy has been under a cloud ever since his son Jared was charged with murdering his girlfriend last summer.
Jared Remy will be arraigned today for a murder.
While Remy took the rest of the season off, he announced his return to the booth in February, prompting media debate over whether that was a good idea.
I don't think he makes it through the year. I think at some point this year he's going to say, this isn't working, and he walks.
But just as the season got underway, the Boston Globe published this front-page blowout about Jared Remy's sordid past and the lawyers, judges, and yes, the parents that enabled him.
We did the best that we possibly could. We thought we were loving parents, and we thought we were trying to do, what we could to get this kid on the right track, and we failed.
That's a contrite Jerry Remy on WEEI's Dennis and Callahan, admitting he did everything he could for his son. But he took strong exception to this Marjorie Egan column in the Boston Herald, damning his parenting skills and challenging his right to get custody of his 5-year-old granddaughter.
It's that kind of reporting that is disgusting to me. And you can call us the worst parents in the world. I can accept that. You can call me an enabler. I can accept that. But when you start talking about how we're going to treat our granddaughter toward her father and say foolish, stupid things like that, I mean, that is absurd.
It's also getting personal within the press. WBZ's Dan Ray and WRKO's Howie Carr, a colleague of Egan's, took her on.
I think the attacks on Jerry Remy, and there was one in the by a colleague and a friend of mine this morning in the Boston Herald, are unfair.
Marjorie Egan, I like Marjorie. I get along with her. I've been working for her forever. I don't think that Jerry Remy has to be shunned for the rest of his life.
Regardless, it's an ugly debate, and one that's not likely to go away soon as the trial approaches. So why has this become such a personal fight within the Boston media? Here to hash it out are Adam Riley of WGBH News, Marjorie Egan of the Boston Herald and WGBH News, Callie Crossley, also of WGBH News, and Dan Kennedy of Northeastern University. Welcome to all. So I'll start with you, Marjorie. That Eric Moskowitz piece, 7,200 words on the front page of the Boston Globe last week. Did that inspire you to write the column? I mean, because he had... Some of that had come out before, but not to that extent, not the volatility of the history and the numerous times of the arrest and all of that.
Well, first of all, I don't blame Jerry Remy for being mad at me. I mean, he's living through this hellish situation with his wife, and his son, Jared, may never get out of jail again. But that's not to say I disagree with it when he says what I wrote was disgusting, because he's admitted himself he did enable his son. And this was 19 arrests over 18 years, as Moskowitz pointed out in the Globe piece. So you look at that, you look at the significant enabling that went on, you look at the fact that Jerry Remy's son allegedly butchered this woman in front of the granddaughter he's trying to get custody of. You look at the fact that it's not just one child, and obviously Jared is way up the charts in terms of the allegations against him, but the Remys have 3 kids. 2 other kids have had run-ins with the law over violent incidents. One, his daughter, the cops had to pepper spray her when they came to arrest her. So in terms of the custody column, you say to yourself, there was something amiss in this household. This isn't one kid. This is 3 kids, and parents that thought the best way to help their son was to hire a lawyer for him that would help him get out of court.
But how are you reacting to the fact that people are sort of now taking you on personally?
Oh, Emily, I've been writing a column for 25 years. I'm free game. If they want to say I don't know what I'm talking about, or they want to say I'm awful, or, I mean, you read the Boston Herald comments, I would say maybe one reader of the Boston Herald agrees with almost anything. So that's fine. It doesn't bother me at all. It's part of the territory.
I just want to say kudos to Marjorie for those 2 columns. I thought they were terrific.
Thank you.
And as far as Jerry Remy goes, you know, he hasn't done anything illegal, and he says, well, I have a right to make a living. I understand that. I do think that the Red Sox games, this is supposed to be fun and games, and it's just become really uncomfortable to listen to Jerry Remy this year. And I think maybe, I'm not saying he should be permanently banished, but I think it might be a good idea for him to take the year off. And since he has not done anything illegal, he's under contract, maybe NESN's obligated to pay him. But I think at this point, it might serve all parties better if he were off the air for a year.
In terms of the arguments that you were just citing, Marjorie, to back up your stand on the custody issue, I would just add one more thing, which I think is really important, and that's that in the piece Eric Moskowitz reported for the Globe, Remy provided a statement in which he said something like, we were totally stunned by what happened on the night that his son allegedly killed Jennifer Martell. And given his son's history, the idea that they could have been stunned by that is mind-blowing. That the stunning thing would have been if it didn't end that way at some point. So if
he dialed back on that on Dennis and Callahan just to say, dramatic.
How did he? What did he say?
He basically said they saw it coming.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, for me, when I read that,
and they tried to get Jennifer to leave him. He said that more than once. Anyway.
Okay. Well, that wasn't what he presented initially in the big Moskowitz piece, and I think that's a reason that, you know, if I were the grandparents on the other side, I would be concerned about continued involvement. I do also want to say that, you know, what he's going through, as you said, must be hellish, but he is a public figure. He was a public figure before this. Now his you know, position in the public spotlight has changed because of this tragedy, but that's the way it is.
But
and his personal life is going to be discussed.
We're taking this on, we're like pointing fingers at each other in the media now, depending on which side you come down on. And I don't know, Kelly, do you think there's a bit of a gender issue here, too?
Well, do you want to say something before I say something?
Well, I'll just say very quickly that if Jerry Remy were the mother of Jared and the brother and sister and not the father, there would have been no question. You would have heard all over Boston. He had 3 children, and one with significant problems, and he's running around. She's running around the country being a Red Sox broadcaster. Why wasn't she home taking care of these kids? So absolutely, there's a boys' sports thing. It's like people are attached to Jerry Remy. He's the Rem dog. This is Red Sox Nation. We don't want to hear about this kind of stuff in Red Sox Nation. If this were a woman, she wouldn't have lasted a nanosecond, I don't think.
Yeah, there's definitely a gender issue. And we've seen this, you know, this is a very dramatic case and one that just, you know, gives you a chill in more ways than one. But we see this all the time with the players who are out there doing all this stuff, you know, in various sports. And I'm just talking about not baseball particularly, beating up on women, you know, coming close to murdering some, and then somebody writes about it, and then it's like, wait a minute, their record of what they've done in the community and also what they've done on the field, you know, these are what you raised in your column really were some uncomfortable things that some people had been talking about but hadn't really been willing to say out loud. So it becomes then, if you're the person that said it, then of course they're going to attack you. But I think the good thing about a column that it inspires conversation and maybe makes people think again.
One more thing, my friend Marjorie Aarons-Barron, who used to be the editorial director at WCVB, wrote a piece about this too, and she said it's just so uncomfortable watching him now, and eventually it's going to be Red Sox Nation. She referred to it as the ick factor, and it's going to be really the viewers who determine how this comes out.
Just really quickly on the gender piece, that anonymous obnoxious Boston sports fan who Dan recently outed, who blogs for the Boston Globe, he said that Remy should go. And there was also, I can't remember his name, but a guy who took the opposite position from Alex Beam when they debated it on the Globe op-ed page who said Remy should go. So there may be some gender correlation, but it's not total.
All right, not over yet.